19th loss in their last 22 games, and now they're going on holiday for a week time. It's called the NBA All-Star break. We have 60 more minutes. We're going to play hard right into the final horn. Greg Papa, Gary St. Jean, Brian Shaw, Monty Poole in studio. Let's take you back out to Talking Stick Resort Arena. Get the thoughts on the game tonight from Bob Fitzgerald and Kalena Azubuike. Marquise Chris Fitz with a tremendous return to Phoenix. And Andrew Wiggins filled in every category of the box score tonight.
No, I think you hit on it, Pop, even when you began the show, that normally into the All-Star break, one team has a clunker or the other team doesn't care. These guys played really hard tonight, and Wiggins and Marquise led the way with 6 Warriors in double figures. And Devin Booker had an ugly game against the Lakers, and he took it out on the Warriors tonight. And you had stretches of really good basketball, but for young guys, the road is not the place to turn the ball over and certainly not get off to a slow start. And that's how you lose, because after the first quarter, you had a lot of great basketball.
It's true. Turnovers were the story of the game. The fight was there, really, for both teams. And you love the work the Warriors did defensively, blocking shots. We were talking about Andrew Wiggins, his career high in blocks. He was defending. The Warriors were moving their feet. There was a lot of switches. They were switching out decisively. Not a ton of mistakes. A few mistakes here and there that did cost them, and the Suns made them pay. But on the other side, getting into the paint. They got into the paint a ton, and that's where Marquise Chris was living. Inside that restricted circle, Draymond was getting the assist. They're throwing a lot of passes. It's just the turnovers. They struggled with the turnovers. I got to give a shout out to Jeremy Pargo, though, right? Yeah. He went out with a bang. He knew that 10-day was coming to an end. It's crazy. During the All-Star break, the 10 days keep going. So this was his last game, unless the Warriors signed him to another 10-day. But he played extremely well, came in super aggressive. And then we're talking about Marquise Chris, another great game for him. And coming home, not coming home, but coming back to this team where you had a little bit of history there. He wanted to really play well, and he did tonight. So incredible effort. Just the turnovers on the road that bit him in the butt.
So you look at it after the break, you get the Rockets. They'll remember that Christmas game, and it was Zion Williamson. And so there'll be things to look forward to. But I think Steve Kerr's looking to have these guys actually practice. You know, have several practices, have some systems, figure out the rotation, and make the last 26 games, 27 games interesting and kind of entertaining. And if they're all like the Laker game or the Heat game or tonight, I think you can live with it.
Oh, there's been a ton of close games, right? People have expected the Warriors to be getting blown out, but they compete so hard, and they've made a lot of games close, and they've gotten this close game experience that's really irreplaceable for these young guys. And obviously these guys are going to keep playing hard, and the hunger is there, but you learn from these games, right? You'll go back and watch film, see where you made the mistakes late in the fourth quarter, see where you could have been better, and maybe close that game out a little more. They're fighting to come back from behind, which is always tough against a team that has a player like Devin Booker.
Yeah, and also, too, Pop, you said it on Warrior Pregame Live, and it bears repeating. You get into March and maybe the middle part of it and add, I don't know, the greatest shooter in the history of the game to some of these younger guys. That could make the remaining games of the season definitely worth watching, too.
Well, the Warriors come back after the All-Star break and play Houston a week from tomorrow night. The date is February the 20th. So only 9 more days left in February, then March the 1st rolls around. So we shall see. Have a nice All-Star break, guys. Bob and Kalena will talk to you when the Warriors are back in action a week from tomorrow against the Houston Rockets. And now a formal welcome in studio to Toyota Warriors post-game live. Devin Booker, I think, was the story of the game. Andrew Wiggins matched him point for point. They each had 27 points, Saintly, but Devin Booker was special on top of the 27.
See guys that can shoot the ball as well and score as effortlessly as he does, be willing passers on top of that. And, you know, unfortunately for the Warriors, him being able to fill that stat box scoring and assisting the way he did, and we talked about the turnovers and everything that prevented the Warriors from winning this game tonight.
On the offensive end, I think he's one of the top 5 or 6 shooting guards in the NBA on the offensive end. Defensively, you don't want to go there. But tonight was a night where you saw him do that. You know, he can kind of control the game with shooting and with passing. He, like you said, he's the conductor out there. And so Ricky Rubio is the point guard, but you see who actually is the guy who takes over games. And it's Devin Booker.
Before they got Rubio, last year they used him a little bit like James Harden. When he was on the ball and he was playing a scoring point.
Yep.
He is the 10th leading scorer in the NBA at 26.4 points per game. The All-Star snub at a big game. Damian Lillard strained his groin, and he is going to be out of the All-Star game. He's also going to be out of the three-point competition. Could Devin Booker slip into the All-Star game after all now.
He can do both of those, the All-Star game and the three-point shooting, because he's good at both.
Very good point.
Bradley Beal scores as well. And now to Andrew Wiggins, who is the 18th leading scorer in the NBA. Stanley.
I hadn't seen in the previous 2 games. And I think that's going to be a big part of his adjustment playing in the Warrior style with quality pace and space, but also ball movement, people movement. And I think as that grows, we're going to see more and more.
And you watch him play, he allows the game to come to him.
Yeah.
He takes what the defense gives him, and a lot of times that's been held against him because they want him to take himself to the game. But when you start to envision this team when Steph and Klay come back, and you have this guy who can be that third scorer for this team, like you said, that allows the game to come to him, to slash when it's time to slash, to be able to knock down a three, to knock down free throws. You can see what it's going to turn into.
This team's last 2 small forwards were Harrison Barnes and Kevin Durant. I think Andrew fits somewhere in between those 2 guys. I mean, he's not Durant, who is, but he can play some of that kind of game in terms of he can go one-on-one, he can go off the dribble. He can also play inside, and he's got pretty good hops, so he can go up too. So I think in this situation, you're right. When you have Klay and you have Steph back, him as a third option, that sounds pretty nice to me.
Yeah.
And he's a young guy. We've talked about it. He's 24 years of age. Yeah. He's going to turn 25 coming up on February the 23rd, just in a couple of days. And Marquise Chris at age 22. You have some youth on this roster, and he played really well tonight of his first game as a Warrior back to Talking Stick to play the Phoenix Suns. Let's go courtside, go back down to downtown Phoenix, Arizona, bring Kareth Burke in to expand on what we're talking about with the play of Marquise Chris. And he got into it with Devin Booker at the end of the game, and they were hugging at the end also. But he had an 18-point, 12-rebound performance tonight, including 3 blocked shots. He is starting to settle in. Since the D'Lo trade, he has given you near double-doubles every game, a 27-9, a 19-9 of the night, a double-double, 18 and 12. He's played great.
I think you point out something that coincides with the deal he signed as well. We're seeing really spirited play from him in the last 3 games, going back to the trade deadline. That's when Marquise got his 2-way deal converted into 2 years. So he has some security now. He knows what his role is going to be. He can settle in there. He's also the starting center now. And I think it was fun to watch him feast on lobs and dunks. You guys have been talking about it, the vertical spacing and that excitement of what happens when Steph and Klay come back next year. How much growth are we going to see from Marquise then? How about his blocks as well? He's had at least 1 block in 7 consecutive games, and I was looking this up for the podcast we did together recently. At the University of Washington, he led that program as a freshman with 55 blocks. That was a new record for the school. He's just so athletic. The Warriors love having a springy center. He just fits so well on this team. Finding that fit for maybe the first time in his career. Now consistency at the center spot, and we're going to continue to see Marquise's growth.
Starting to bring it every single night, as does Kareth Burke. You're going to take a week off, come back refreshed and recharged. Have a great All-Star break, Kareth, and we'll talk to you a week from tomorrow when the Warriors are back in action. It's
Up, and he feels comfortable with what the Warriors are doing. They've shown him a lot of support and a lot of love. And I think it's important because his talent was never in question. It was, what would you get out of this guy? What can you get out of him? Because there were some maturity issues there at first for a while. And still, maybe it flares up. But as a player, as a big man, he's doing exactly what they need him to do. He's controlling the paint, he's scoring, and he's also blocking the shots.
When you look at it, I had the fortune of coming in as a rookie and playing with Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, DJ, and Danny Ainge. And in his defense, he comes into Phoenix as a young guy with all young guys around him, tons of coaching changes, front office changes, and all these things that, affected him while he was there. And now he's in a situation where there's some structure, there's culture that's already in place, and now he gets to come, as you talked about, and be coached up and feel wanted and feel, like he's being coached and being taught by some veterans. And take it granted, Steph and Klay are not out there with him, but they're around the team. And so that's important. And it's nice to see that he stepped into this situation. He's made the most of his opportunity. And now you can see why he was drafted so high, now he's starting to put it together.
I think each week we see a little more growth. The shot blocking, the rebounding is improved immensely. We all know he can really executes well in the pick and roll. Our first example there, you don't take for granted, it was a tough bounce pass at knee level.
Yeah.
And those hands went down there, and a lot of bigs can't catch those.
Right.
And he has no problem with those. We know he can get those ones way up high. We know he can run the floor. He's starting to do things now that you say, hey, this guy really has a bright future, because if he'll block shots and rebound, that'll set the tone.
Exactly.
Because he is going to rim run.
Yeah.
He is going to get lobs.
And he knows
he
it.
is going to play in the
Yep.
pick and roll.
Yep.
And he gives you now 2 games in a row a nice face-up on the right side of the floor and goes left. But today he finished with the right
Going
hand.
back the other way.
The last game, he gave me a lefty hook, and I was like, whoa, big fella.
He really is the perfect fit with Steph, Clay, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond.
Yeah.
I mean, he gives you what the 5, it's what they got in years past from other players, whether it was JaVale McGee or Andrew Bogut or whoever you wanted to say to play center. So, and he's just 22 years of age. So we'll get Steve Kerr's thoughts. Warriors played well tonight. Obviously, he's not going to be happy with the 22 turnovers, and in the end, they do lose. But we'll get his thoughts on the Warriors' first time visiting the Phoenix. Is brought to you by BMW.
Yeah, mistakes all over the place. Disappointing. We did a lot of good things, but you can't overcome 22 turnovers and giving up 32 points. I think it was 32 off of those turnovers. So disappointing, but the whole point is to try to learn from our mistakes and grow, and we've got to make sure we're doing that.
Is this gone about as good as you could have expected with Wiggins through 3 games?
I would say, yeah. I mean, he's, the one thing we've been able to do is just plug him in on the opponent's best player, so that alone just allows us to set up our defense better. So tonight he was on Booker, he was on LeBron the first game. It's just, I think you can, because of his size and length, we can just put him on the opponent's best guy and then match up from there. So it makes our defensive matchups easier. And then he's been really good. He hasn't played with us and played in our style for long at all, but he's been really efficient. He's enjoying himself. He's finding a groove out there, and he's played at a very high level.
Counting defensive stats, if you look at his history, aren't that great, like 0.9, 0.8 type stuff. But since he's been with you, 5 steal game the other night. Tonight, I think he had 4 blocks, 2 steals. Are you seeing that you might be able to pull that out of him, like the more disruptive type of thing?
We hope so. I mean, it's 3 games is obviously small sample size, but our coaches are talking to him every day about what we want and what we need from him, and. Again, the fit is there. The position is so needed for us, given the losses in our roster over the last couple of years. So he's been a perfect fit, and he's playing well. But he's got to keep getting better, and we've got to keep pushing him.
How did you feel about Marquise?
Yeah, Andrew Wiggins was the Warrior leading scorer, as Steve was saying, with 27 points. He also had 5 assists, 4 blocks, and a couple of steals. He was on Devin Booker for a lot of the game. Early in the game, Jordan Poole did start on him. So the Warriors did make a change in their starting lineup as Kai Bowman was pulled at the end of the game the other night in the first 3.5 minutes of the second half. And it was not Kai who started the game tonight, saying that it was Jordan Poole who started. So something's going on with Kai Bowman. But with Draymond really is the point forward of this team. But you're clearly asking Jordan Poole to handle more than he has previously.
Yeah, that's the beauty of having Draymond Green. You can envision your team having a 2-guard front and don't have to say this guy has all the ball responsibilities. So it allows you to put Lee and Poole out there with Draymond handling. But as you noted, Pop, Poole's done a nice job.
He scored 12 points tonight, B. Shaw. He was 4 of 12 from the floor. Damian Lee had 10. Did not follow up his big game the other night against Miami. He would win it for a career-high 26. So our counted game was over-under because they've been averaging combined Jordan Poole and Damian Lee 32.5 since the D'Angelo Russell trade. Well, they came in a little bit shy of that tonight with 22 points. But just your overall thoughts on Jordan Poole. Totally We both went under, so you both got that. You're happy about that. But the 2 Warrior guys went under, and they wound up losing the game. But Jordan Poole certainly has grown from what we saw early in the year, went down to the G League in Santa Cruz for a week or so, and now they're asking him to handle the ball a little bit.
And, you know, I love it. I think, you know, they're throwing him into the fire, seeing what they have out of in him, seeing what he can do out there on the floor in terms of, you know, other than just shoot the ball. And so, you know, that trip to play in the G League, when you balance going on a bus to places like Stockton, as opposed to flying on a plane to places like South Beach.
A charter plane.
That's right. That'll
They're watching our show in Stockton. Be nice to Michelle.
Well, I just mean, you know.
I know exactly
but it'll tune you up, and it'll make you come back.
Per diem slightly less.
little less.
Slightly less. You know a guy who knows about playing in Stockton and all over the world is Jeremy Pargo.
Yeah.
Pargo played well. He played a lot of point guard tonight, and he had a 15-point 2-assist game, and he's going to have our Cresco assist of the game here, St. Lee. It's going to be to Andrew Wiggins here. But look, that's almost a Sherman Douglas half-court alley-oop pass there from Jeremy Pargo.
Going back to that.
We're going back.
Syracuse Orange legend.
Miami Heat as well. Shaw mentioned South Beach. So
and he can score. You know, he scored when he was at Gonzaga. He's been well-traveled. We talked earlier about he played in the Big Three this summer, and I got a chance to see him, you know, play in that league.
Cubes
in
League?
the summertime, in Ice Cube's league.
Yeah.
And he was a beast in the Big Three. So I'm not surprised that he can step right in and score like he has.
He's got a big, thick body.
Well, hey, we've got Mr. Pascal down in the low post.
He's tough.
Well, this guy here, he'll throw the chest in you, too. I enjoy watching him play.
Without question.
He loves to attack the game. I love his attitude.
He played a lot of minutes tonight. He played 20 minutes and 54 seconds, and it's interesting. Kai Bowman has not played very much since the halftime of the game on Monday night. All right, a lot more coming your way on our Toyota Warriors post-game live, certainly. There was a lot of good. Our last one before the All-Star break, Rick Papa, Gary St. Jean, and Brian Shaw. Warriors scored 106 points tonight. There were some good moments where they were flowing. The assist total was pretty good. 27, but the problem was the turnover total was ghastly. 9 in the opening quarter, 22 for the game, and Phoenix was able to turn the 22 turns into 32 points off turnovers. It was the difference in the game. But we'll start with the good. We saw some really good moments where the Warriors moved the ball effectively tonight.
Note this little brush pick. You don't have to nail, but see how Chris hit Rubio right there? And then this is a Warrior staple. Relocation. So you cut and then you fill the open area, and Lee knocked down that three. Mr. Curry does that well, doesn't he, B?
Yes, he does. He does it with the best of them. Here again, you know, another little brush pick, nice little pocket pass. The rest of the offense has the defense spread out, occupying them for a nice, easy dunk for Chris.
Look at Draymond. He tells him, come on over, use me. And beautiful cut by Wiggins. He knows that he's got the defender on his back. And, of course, Draymond, he doesn't catch and look at it. He gets rid of it quick. Beautiful play. Now, here's some, Pop, that maybe we'd like to have back. And, you know,
live ball.
Young rookie going to his left and loses the handle. Live ball turnover. Gets 2 points by Carter. A tough. Now, here's a dribble handoff, B, way out far from his body. Not shoulder or hip to hip.
That's right. One of the fundamentals that you teach when you're coming off a screen or a dribble handoff, you want to come off shoulder to shoulder with your man to not give that defender that room to sneak through there like Rubio just did.
Keep in mind, the Warriors really don't have a pure point guard. Even Kai Bowman's not a pure point, and he's not playing a lot all of a sudden. You're starting Jordan Poole at point guard, Jeremy Pargo, who was in the G League. You traded 6 guys between late January and the D-Lo trade. You got 6 new guys on the roster. They've not had a lot of practice time. So when they get back after this All-Star break, they're going to come back on Tuesday night, and then they play on Thursday. They go Thursday, they're off Friday, Saturday. So a chance to get on the floor, Saint, and really do some good practicing to get these guys acclimated.
Well, you know what? You go on the road and you turn the ball over, you're asking for problems. And as you noted, you have that big of a change, and you've got a lot of youth. It's hard to consistently play at a high level. So we're going to see some really good stuff, and we're going to see some stuff that we need to maybe improve upon as we finish up the season.
And when you look at it, there's something called road mentality, and part of what goes with road mentality is taking care of the ball. You get 14, 15 less shots than your opponent. You shoot 50% from the field, so if you just take half of those shots, 7 more shots, some of them being threes, that's another 14 to 17 possible points that you get just on possessions that you didn't get shots.
Right.
You lose the game by 6, you win that game going away. So road mentality, you got to take care of the
And
ball.
now they're going all over the different roads. They're going here, there, everywhere. The Warriors are not going to have an all-star for the first time since 2012. Air Game Live All-Star Edition. We got a brand new format of the All-Star Game, so pay attention, St. Lee. It's like we're going back to the CBA before Isaiah Thomas came into that league and ruined it. The score after each quarter is going to be reset 0-0. So basically, in the first and second quarter, you're playing to win each quarter, and each team will receive, the winner, $100,000 each to donate to charity. Now, here's where it gets fun. After the third quarter, the total scores of all quarters will be combined. The fourth quarter will be untimed with a target score of 24 points, which is Kobe Bryant's number. So 24 points will be added to the lead of whatever team leads through 3 quarters. The first team to reach the target score wins, and the winning team receives an additional $200,000. So say Team Giannis through 3 quarters has scored 150 points.
Right.
The target score would be to get to 174.
If they're
so
leading.
they would need,
Yes.
well, they would need 24. Say Team LeBron has 144, then they've got to get 30 points. So, and the fourth quarter is not going to, we're not going to have a 48-minute game. No.
Well,
unless
if you miss shots, you could.
Well, they're going to score 24 points in an all-star game in 1 quarter. Come on, they're going to get that in like 6 minutes.
They
So,
might start D'ing people up, though.
I think the bottom line is, guys, the all-star game has become a little bit of Olay. Just go in and score. You locked up people on both ends of the floor when you played. Will this motivate the guys? And we're not talking about, you know, hard physical fouls here. It's still an all-star game. We don't want anybody hurt. But will they at least make an effort to guard a little bit more with this format, do you think?
I think so, and I think definitely in the fourth quarter. And I mean, when you watch the All-Star game over the last 10 years or so, the first 3 quarters anyway, they kind of just let each other go, like you say, Olay, right. And then they start to play in the fourth quarter. So I think this definitely will work.
I like it because, first of all, it intensifies the game. And the All-Star game is not intense. It's just a fun sort of exercise. It's an exhibition. But in this instance, the fourth quarter matters, and the first read matter, but it's what you get in the fourth quarter. I like the idea of the 24 points, so untimed. And it's almost like playground. You know, first team to 24 in that fourth quarter wins the game.
I like it a lot. And I loved what the league did. Adam Silver's doing a wonderful job. He went to the Players Association and talked to Chris Paul and, you know, asked for some input. And I think that Chris Paul came up with some of this concept, and they were sure to credit him for that. And this looks good. I think it has a good feel.
And then on top of that, scoring each quarter, and then wiping the slate clean, and $100,000 get to go to charity.
Yeah.
In 2009, I had the privilege of being able to be an assistant coach for the West in the All-Star game. And the difference between the winning team and the losing team, the winning team got $35,000 per person. The losing team got $20,000 per person. And for myself as a coach, I was like, come on, we got to win this game because I want that extra $15,000. That's right. That's right.
And it's going to be highly emotional. Speaking of that team, Kobe Bryant.
Yes.
I mean, we lost David Stern early in the season, and now we lost Kobe Bryant, so it's going to be really, really emotional. Speaking of the Warriors, a couple of years ago in 17 and 18 had 4 All-Stars. They're not going to have any All-Stars, but we are thinking, you guys are from Oakland born, we're thinking of the 2000 game at Oracle. And I was working for the San Antonio Spurs then, so I sat courtside right by it. It was insane, Monty. What a show that was. And we had some great, look at Shaq. We had some great dunk performances, but what Vince Carter did that night, was that the best of all time?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it was one of the best.
I mean, there was that one, the one with the elbow in there. He put his whole arm in the
Isaiah.
rim. No, Vince, he knew he wanted to. He, like, come on.
He said it.
Between the legs.
It's over. He said it's
Funny,
over.
it rained the
whole time.
whole whole time.
Oh, yeah.
The baby was
He
ready to
brought
show
out the
off.
sunshine.
The baby was ready to show off, and it rained all
Oh,
weekend.
my gosh.
I remember that.
Horrible.
The amazing thing is he is still playing.
43 years old.
20 years later.
Crazy.
He wasn't a rookie in 2000, say.
Crazy.
Incredible. And the way he could dunk in-game, probably the best in-game dunker
I think so.
we've
Him
ever
and
had.
Nick.
I mean, he's still going
Him and Nick.
strong.
Yeah. But, I mean, he just turned 43 last month, and he can still dunk. He might be able to dunk until he's 50 or more.
It's just
Crazy.
It's insane, is what it is. All right, the Warriors are going to have one young man go to the All-Star game, and it's going to be in the Rising Stars, the rookie-sophomore game on Friday night. And the other night, Monday night, outside of Chase, we did visit with Joe Lacob, the Warrior owner, and he told us how Eric Paschall is going to go from Phoenix, Arizona tomorrow morning to Chicago, Illinois in the NBA All-Star game.